The Maral says, if you look at the level of obligation of the non-Jew, it's all negative commandments. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't cross lines. What is a connotation of when you tell somebody don't do something? Meaning, if you cross the line, you transgressed, you become minimized, you become compromised. Tell a person, don't eat that, don't drink that. Why? If it's in his best interest, why tell him not? Evidently, it connotes that it's not in your best interest. When you tell somebody to do something, what does it do? A do means do it because you'll be a beneficiary of that. It's in your best interest. So negative means don't diminish, don't compromise, and do means advance yourself. That's the difference between do and the don't. All Noahide laws are negatives. So the Maral of Prague says that when God created the soul, there's a difference between the Jewish soul and a non-Jewish soul. The obligation of a non-Jew is, God says, I give you the soul. When I'm ready to take you from this earth, as I gave it to you in this condition, just return it to me in the same condition. It doesn't have a capacity to advance. Can't advance. On the other, a Jewish soul, not only could it be diminished and compromised, and that's the 365 negative commandments. It can be compromised very easily. Therefore, we have endless more negative commandments, but we have 248 positive commandments. A Jew is able to advance, do this, do Shabbos, do Tefillin, do Tzitzis, do Sukkah, do Matzah, do Kashrus. We have endless opportunities to empower ourselves and advance, infuse ourselves, and bring out the potential which has to be actualized. We actualize it through the positive commandments. So a Jew has relevance not only to the not to be compromised, he has the ability to advance himself. And that's the positive commandments. But what does that mean? It's potential. When a person's born, excuse me, just have to get, sorry. And when we're born into this existence, every human being has a soul. A Jewish child has a Jewish soul. A non-Jewish child has a non-Jewish soul, different reality. So when we're born into this existence, what are we born with if you're a Jew? It's all called potential. You have a potential. You could be somebody exceptional. You could be the closest thing to Moshe Rabbeinu. Rambam says that every Jew could be as great as Moshe Rabbeinu. Could you imagine? You say to somebody, you know, you could be as great as Moshe Rabbeinu. Said, are you kidding me? What did you drink for breakfast? Rambam says you could be as great as Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Why was Moshe Rabbeinu so special? He was special because he had a potential, and he met that potential. Our potential is infinitesimal compared to Moshe Rabbeinu's potential, but you can't be more than you could be. So if you address your potential, you're no less successful than Moshe Rabbeinu was successful. God can't expect of you more than you're capable of doing. So if our potential is, as I said, infinitesimal compared to Moshe, but whatever it is, if you addressed it, you're no less than Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the reality. But what is that? You have the ability to advance your soul based on certain mediums, which are called mitzvahs, which are called commandments. 248 positive commandments. That's how you advance it. So just as the body itself, the physical sense, a child is born, if he's not nourished and fed and taken care of, God forbid the child withers and dies. But if the child is cared for, as a human being should be cared for, nourishment-wise, movement, air, environment, the child is going to grow and develop into a healthy human being. So because the body has potential, you just have to infuse it and take care of it for it to meet its potential. You're actualizing the potential when the person is able to grow into adulthood as a functional human being. Identically, the soul, Hashem created the soul with a potential, but you have to nurture it. How do you nurture it? With Torah mitzvahs. That's how you nurture it. King Solomon says he envies the dead more than the living. Could you imagine? How do you envy the dead more than the living? Because he says, if a child is born, everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. You have a bris, you have a party. Everybody's excited. We're talking about, you have an aircraft carrier, cost $25 billion to build. You christen it, you send it out to the Mediterranean, to the Red Sea, wherever you send it out to. The Eisenhower and the whatever these aircraft carriers are called. If going out there, God forbid, it's torpedoed and sunk, with all the christening, all the excitement, if it never made it across the ocean, there's nothing to celebrate about. But nevertheless, you celebrate because you don't think about where it may be going or what may happen. When a child is born to this existence, do you know how he's going to develop? You only know what a person's life is at the end of his life. Do you celebrate his life, or maybe you don't celebrate his life? It's like the ship that's christened and it goes out to sea and it never comes back. It sinks. It goes down the ocean in the storm. And another one comes back with tremendous cargo, with tremendous wealth. So when a person's at the end of his life, is about to die, you see exactly what his level of accomplishment was. When at the beginning, nobody knows. Nobody knows where anybody's going. Life is made up of choices and experiences and influences. Does anybody know how he's going to deal with all that? Nobody knows. Illness and endless things. How many people did you go to school with that today they're no longer alive? They passed away at a young age. A mishap, illness, whatever it is. Or people you thought would be one thing that turned out to be something else. An ordinary person turned out to be a star. Although when he was in school, he seemed to be a regular kid like anybody else. And he surpassed everybody. So person only knows what he is at the end of the day, so to say, at the end of life. And it's a lot to learn. And it's not because he's lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with initiative. I'm talking within the spiritual realm. In terms of material, a person can be exceptional, doesn't succeed materially. That's up to God. But when it comes to a person developing as a Jew, you have choice. That's not predetermined what you're going to be. Whether you're a tzaddik or not a tzaddik, that's not predetermined. Everything else predetermined. So everything is based on initiative. Every one of us has relevance to the world to come because we're a Jew. We're a Jew with a chosen people. You just have to take initiatives to make the grade to be able to be worthy to be there. And it's never too late. Even the last moment of your life, if a person makes certain commitments and accepts certain beliefs, you're eligible for the world to come. That's what it's so, and especially if your whole life you've been investing. And I remember, when I was a child, they wanted to teach you to be responsible when it comes to money. So there was a bank on the Lower East Side, it was called Bowery Savings Bank. And every week, we do banking. They would bring in this big leather pouch, and you had your bank book, and each child would bring in $1. And every week we put $1 in the account to teach us how to save, to be responsible financially. And by the time you graduate elementary school, the 8th grade, you could have had accumulated, in those days, it was a lot of money. You put $1 in every week and multiply by 8. Relatively speaking, especially for a kid, you had a substantial amount of money. So they taught you how being responsibly financially, how it makes a difference. Life's no different. It's what you invest. I study, I apply myself, I educate myself, I do good deeds, it's all cumulative. You accumulate a life of good deeds, a life of important knowledge. That's what we do. And that's what it's all about. But you only know that whether what he's putting in the bank, was it counterfeit? Was it something you bought a stock portfolio, penny stocks? You don't realize the company went out of business. It's not worth the paper that it's printed on. Nothing. When do you know? You only know when it's time to cash it in. Could you take it to the bank? Can't you take it to the bank? In very earthy terms. That's what it's all about. So if a person would only understand that something may be difficult, he's talking about chesed. Certain people it comes naturally to them to do acts of chesed to others. If I can help a person, why not? If I could do for a person, why not? Other people, it's not so easy. Somehow they're not geared. They're wired differently. They're asked for a favor, subconsciously, they have 90,000 reasons right away why they're not doing it. Maybe he's not really honest. Maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe he's this. Maybe somebody else more worthy. Remember, many years ago, there were certain people that were associated with Yad Avram, and they would date and go out. They never got married. So I said, "What do you get married?" Because there may be somebody else out there that if married her, I could be denied the other. You understand? You never know. I can't do the chesed because somebody else may come and I may not have it, so I can't do the chesed, the kindness of somebody else. You know something? If you realize that you don't determine your life, opportunity comes, take advantage of the opportunity. Something else may happen, God will provide that you'll be able to help the other person. And if not, you could direct the person elsewhere. But what life is about is opportunity. Opportunity was true. You have to take advantage of opportunity. God presents opportunity. Take advantage. I always tell the story, which you all know, there's a flood and the person is already on the rooftop because the water's risen so high. The helicopters are overhead and they're throwing you a lifeline. Person says, I will not take it. I believe in God. God will save me. And he drowns, comes to the world to come. And he says to Hashem, here I had such fervent belief in you. Why don't you save me? He says, you fool, who do you think sent the helicopters with the lifeline? You understand? That's what it's all about. If you have an opportunity to do a good deed, but there may be something better, but who do you think sent you this? Everything in life, God sends you, positive and negative. Negative, you're supposed to pass on it. Positive, you're supposed to take advantage of it. That's what opportunity is. But to really understand what it's all about, you have to study. A person who works in the diamond industry, you have to take a course in the Gemological Institute that when you put that diamond under the microscope, you should understand what you're looking at. Otherwise, because the diamond needs a certificate and it's based on evaluation. But if you don't know what you're looking at, it's like a person never went to medical school, but you took 8th grade chemistry and you had microscopes and you look under it, you say, look, it says, this looks like a telescope, except it's more, it magnifies to a greater degree. You understand where people at? Microscope, telescope, it's all the same thing. But it's not the same thing. Same thing. We think we know it. It's a semblance. I got a gist of what it's about. Life is not a gist. Life is knowing what it's about. Because the opportunities which are invaluable and they present themselves and we gloss over them, we let them go. And they don't come back. They don't come back. Our Shiva once said, there was a prophet, his name was Obadiah. And he was a courtier in the court of Ahab, was an evil king. And he killed all the prophets. His wife was a famous shrew. Her name was Jezebel. And Izebel. And he was this prophet, and Ahab didn't know thought he was one of them. And when he killed all the prophets. This Obadiah, he took 100 prophets, put one in one cave and one in the other cave, 250 in each cave. And because of him, prophecy continued. Otherwise, it would have come to an end because this king killed all the prophets. And the prophet says, Ovadia was Yorei Hashem Ba'od. He feared God to a great degree. By Avram Avinu says he was Yorei Hashem. After the decade, he says, I see that you, Yorei Elokim, you fear God. So by Avad, it says Ma'od, and by Avram does say Ma'od. Ma'od in Hebrew means very much. By Avad, he feared God very much. By Avram does say very much. So the Gemara says, why? Because he saved 100 prophets, Ma'od. But still, Avram was Avram. He says, what do we learn from Avadia? Very often, opportunity presents itself. And what do we say? I'll do it tomorrow. But you realize tomorrow may be too late. You never know if opportunity presents itself more than once. Only because Avadia understood the seriousness of the moment, he had to address this immediately and hide these people. If he would have waited another day, maybe he would have killed all these 100 prophets. So the only reason why prophecy continues is because he was sensitive to take advantage of the moment. It's now, of course, mainly never. Well, I could do it tomorrow. The opportunity may not exist tomorrow. So in life, whenever opportunity presents itself, I'm talking about true opportunity. You can't say, well, it'll present itself again. You never know if it'll present itself again. Never. If it's the right thing to do, you do it. Well, I'll find something else. That something else may not be the equivalent, or you may not find anything else. That's why it's ma'od. So in life, the lesson we draw from Avadia, this is my Rosh Hashiva speaking, is that whatever something presents and the evaluation is, it should be done. Don't procrastinate. Don't delay. You should execute it. Take advantage immediately. Chesed. But I may not be able to afford that vacation. Who said you'd be alive when it comes to take the vacation? And if you take a lesser vacation, if it's 3-star, not 5-star, and if you get on that plane and the plane doesn't land, after it takes off, what are you going to do? You don't have to worry about any other vacations. Larry could confirm this. God didn't even let him get on the plane. So he should be able to be at this class right now. Okay? And it wasn't up to Larry. It's like a person, God forbid, breaks his leg. He can't walk up he used to walk up steps to get on LL flights, from the tarmac. It wasn't from the, didn't pull up straight to the gate. It's not up to you. It's the way Hashem writes the ticket. Hashem plans the narrative. Okay.